Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Monday after Easter. Hope you guys had a great Easter weekend and celebration. If you celebrate that, had a phenomenal weekend myself. This is Trey Griggs with Beta Consulting Group, your sales and marketing strategists that are looking out for you. Give us a visit on our website at betaconsultinggroup.com to learn how we can help you improve your sales and marketing strategies. And while you're there, check out the events page, because we got an event coming up. We have several events that we're going to be attending, some trade shows coming up. Very excited about that. But most importantly, in less than 2 weeks, in about 12 days from now, we're going to have the Word on the Street Tough Mudder Charity Challenge, April 30th, right here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're going to be running 9 miles and doing 30 obstacles with the street crew. We're going to be raising money for Battle Buddy 3 Gun. Very excited about that. If you go to the page, betaconsultinggroup.com/events, you can learn all about that. You can donate directly to Battle Buddy 3 Gun, which is going to be very exciting. It's going to be an amazing race. I don't know if I'm ready for it yet or not, but the workouts have been good. Got a great workout this morning on Iron Minds with my good friend Hayden Allred. We were up at 6 a.m. this morning getting in a workout to get our minds right for Monday. Join us next week if you couldn't make it this week, and come work out with us. And we're also just talking about mindset and some things we talked about today, which was really, really exciting. So a lot of good stuff going on. We had some great shows last week. We got an incredible lineup this week. Today, I can't wait to bring out my good friend Tyler Robertson. We're going to talk about his journey. Tomorrow, I'm doing my first threesome, everybody. David Stem and Brett Suma from Loadsmith. We're going to talk about their journey to creating Loadsmith. On Wednesday, going to talk to my friend Eric Weedle about Doc 411, doing some great stuff at shipping and receiving locations for trucking, for truckers in the trucking industry in general. Thursday, my good friend and business coach and my health coach, Kevin Tenter, is going to be on. We're going to talk about uncommon freedom, both financially and physically, and all these things that you get, but when you take care of yourself. Very excited about that. And then we're going to close out the week with a dynamic rock star in the transportation industry, my good friend, Christy Knichel, president and owner of Knichel Logistics. I swear she's like winning an award like every month for something she's doing. She's just absolutely phenomenal. So can't wait to have her on the show this week. Going to be a phenomenal week of shows. Every day, 10:30 a.m. Central Time. Be sure to come and join us and talk about sales, marketing, leadership, help you guys improve your outcomes and inspire you throughout the day. All right, so that's enough of that. Also want to give a shout out to my new sponsor. You might see a logo in the lower right-hand corner of the broadcast, to my good friends at TAS out of the Olathe, Kansas, the Kansas City area. These guys are the good guys in freight factoring, and they do a great job of educating drivers. That's a huge part of their platform. They want drivers to know what they're getting into and how to best grow their company and provide them with resources that are going to do that. Super excited to partner with those guys. If you're not familiar with them, go to tas.com. You can check it out. And soon we'll have a landing page where you can go and tell them that Trey sent you. So very excited about that and what we're doing with those guys. Some good content is going to be coming up out of that real shortly. All right, everybody. I want to welcome my good friend to the show. This guy is the founder and CEO of Diesel Laptops. His story is absolutely amazing. Please welcome to the show my good friend, Tyler Robertson. Tyler, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm here. Thank you very much, Trey. Always
great. On video, but in the flesh.
Yeah, close it gets nowadays, right? I guess so. Yeah, the new world. But yeah,
it is. I
mean, I was gonna say we're just talking about trade shows coming back and events going on, so it's good to get things going back to normal again.
I was just going to say the same thing. Being at trade shows, I've been at several already. There's several coming up. I know you guys have been to a lot. You've been to TCA, to MATS, a bunch of them that have gone on. It's nice to shake hands again and to go to dinner and have, some semblance of like community again. I think we all miss that. And these shows, I think, are more valuable than they've ever been, than just for that fact alone.
Yeah, 100%. You can do a lot video like this, but sooner or later you need to get in front of someone, shake hands, feel the energy in the room, all those things. Hard to do that digitally. I know Meta is trying to do it virtually and augmented reality and all these things, but yeah, we'll see how time goes on here.
It's definitely hard to do it digitally. It's nice that this is available because we can have these kind of conversations much more frequently and very efficiently, but at the same time, getting out to an event, there's just nothing like it. So what's the next one you guys are going to at Diesel Laptops?
I'm not even sure what the next one in person is, but we do have a virtual event going on. So you queued me up pretty nice there. So yeah, we started it right when COVID happened. It's called the virtual dieselexpo.com. It's 100% free for anyone that wants to go on there. It's 3 days. First day is all about light duty diesel. Second day is about on highway commercial truck diesel. And then the third day is off highway and on highway diesel. So we have, we're giving away $50,000 in tools. We got Mike Rose going to come on there the first day and talk about trade skills and getting people in the jobs and all those things. And there's all kinds of presentations, talks, a virtual exhibit hall. It's gotten bigger every year we've done it. We've partnered with Alliant Power this year. So yeah, we're really looking forward to doing that thing, keep rolling it forward.
Very cool. So did I spell that right? virtualdieselexpo.com right there?
You got it right.
Perfect.
You
So
got it right,
check
man.
that out. Check out the virtual event. And then are you guys going to go to Freight Waves or anything like that coming up in May?
I don't think we're going to go to Freight Waves. A lot of it's not, our target market. We're a little bit different. Like our target market is people that fix the trucks, not the actual people that move trucks
Yeah.
around and freight brokers and
Yeah,
all
that
those
makes
things that
sense.
happen. So we've gone to a couple, just kind of networked and done that thing. We'll probably do that again.
Yeah.
So that's always the hard part. Before COVID, man, we were doing 50 trade shows a year. I was spending $500,000 a year going to trade shows, and we were just doing them all, every one. And now we try to really go down to maybe 6 or 8 of the ones we really care about and go bigger at them.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you're right. It kind of got a little out of hand. It got a little crazy with the number of trade shows we're going to, and kind of to pick your spots. But now you can almost reset. Everybody can reset a little bit. Find the ones that are really worthwhile. Because if you go to a trade show, I talk to people about this from a marketing standpoint all the time. You go to a trade show and you have a booth, and then you don't have a booth the next year. You're kind of like inconspicuous, I guess, or like there's something going on with your absence. Like you're just not there. So you almost feel like you have to keep going. So it's kind of a nice reset for companies to think about their marketing budgets and how they want to spend that moving forward. We're going to get the most value from these particular shows. And like you said, when you know your market, Freightways probably isn't your market. It's probably not worth spending the money to go to that every year. Maybe go to a few events now and then. Might make more sense.
Yeah, and some of the trade show one-on-one stuff we've learned, a lot of it's pre-booking before you even get there. So before we even land, we usually have a bunch of meetings booked in our booth. We've done events at the ones we go at now as well. And we do a lot of social media stuff at the events themselves. So we're trying to do more and more and get as much positive impact off one event that we possibly can. So it's a little bit of a mind shift for us.
That's an interesting comment that you make. Especially as a CEO, you really do value marketing, branding, messaging, and the idea from a trade show of planning in advance, having those meetings scheduled in advance, so you get something really good out of it. But I love what you said, like creating content at the show for social media to put it out there. I'm seeing a lot of people doing that. In fact, I was at TIA in San Diego 2 weeks ago. And one thing I noticed is there were a lot more people with camera crews following them around or doing interviews. I did some interviews that I'm going to be putting out here for word on the street type of interviews. That was much more prevalent than we'd ever seen before. And I think companies are starting to understand the value of producing their own content and putting it out on social media.
Yeah, I mean, social media has been the foundation for diesel laptops. I mean, that's really where we started, with social media and online marketing.
Right.
So I'm not even that good at the in-person stuff. We're really much better on the online virtual type stuff. But that's really what's driven our company through this. And for us, it's always been an easier thing. We can track how much we spend, what kind of response we get. We can make adjustments on the fly. We know how much it costs to get a lead. We know how many dollars it takes to get those leads, how many leads close. So you can start to really wrap your mind around, I spend X dollars, I get Y out of it on this end. And you can scale up and down really quick. And like I said, make changes on the fly. So online marketing is where we really live and breathe.
Yeah, I love that. And, a lot of times I think that CEOs struggle with making that investment because sometimes it's not a direct ROI, or it's hard to sometimes report. I mean, think about this. You create content at a trade show, you put that on social, you have a sales rep that reaches out, you put a blog post out, maybe you put a video out, and these people see multiple pieces of content, and eventually they reach out to you. Which one of those actually did it? You may not be able to know directly, but I think to your point, if you're spending the dollars and you're seeing activity, you're seeing new leads come in, you're seeing new revenue come in, there's some ways you can measure it for sure. But then there's other ways you have to look at it and go, yeah, this is working. But it takes some time. What led you to really believe in marketing and to invest in it?
Yeah, I mean, I was nobody, right? I was in my garage and dining room table. Nobody knew my company. Nobody knew anything we had. So, I mean, that's the struggle I think a lot of people have, is how do you get the word out there and do those things? And, I was like, man, I'm not going to do newspapers and billboards and all that. I mean, none of that makes any sense for me. So that's the beauty of online marketing, is you just start really small, with a small budget, and you start playing around with it and you start learning. And really, I mean, that's still, I can tell you, like, we have a marketing department today that delivers over 2,000 sales leads a month to our salespeople. And the problem we have is we have to throttle our marketing spend down because our sales staff isn't large enough to handle all the leads coming in. So we have the opposite problem. Right. It's a really great problem to have. And but you want to deal with all those leads in an efficient manner, right? So, but it took us a long time to get there. And it's a lot of what you said. It's not just, we do a podcast, we have a blog, and we have a YouTube channel and all these things. But what we've really learned is, like, let's try to create content one time. Let's go make a great, like, for example, when I do my podcast, we do the video, and we do the video and audio. So I got my podcast audio. We got the YouTube thing going on. We have it transcribed to make it to its own page on the internet. And then social media is sprinkling it all around out there, maybe even email campaign behind it. So you do one thing, but you can get a lot of uses and a lot of reach out of it, which is the beauty of doing digital marketing. So
That's right.
yeah, we're all in, and we're constantly sitting over here like, man, how can we better at this? How can we get more leads? How can we do this thing? Or how can we drive our costs down? But one of the best investments we made this last couple of years was a studio. And we have not only me in there, but we do our webinars from there. We have employees go in there and do videos for customers, new product shoots, all kinds of things. And it's just a different way you have to think about stuff. But the reality is the internet's open 24/7. So you never have to worry about finding traffic. It's always there. You just got to find a way to filter to you at the end of the day.
Yeah, that is so true. And my office is starting to look like a studio as well. My kids kind of joke around that I'm getting more lights in here, more cameras, everything like that. But there's really something to that investment to say that you can create that long form content, which is kind of the Gary Vee model. You create the long form content, then you just cut it up into all kinds of little content, whether it be posts on social or, like you said, email campaigns, or maybe a blog, or different things that come out of that. That are really good content, and it just continues to drive your brand, to drive your identity in the culture as an expert, as somebody that's trusted. All those things are just like, you just keep putting deposits in over time, and then before long, you got a massive bank account of people who know who you are, who know what you do, who like you, who trust you, and who want to work with you. And it just works. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, for example, we're in the B2B space, and we're dealing with truck repair and diagnostics, right? So like a niche inside a niche inside a niche. Our YouTube channel's got 8 million views. So it doesn't matter what people are selling out there. People are looking for answers and help and knowledge. You just got to make sure you're there when they're looking for you. And that's really what online marketing comes down to.
That's right. I love it, man. It's great to talk to a CEO who gets it. And I think that maybe you can comment on this, but having started in the digital age, starting diesel laptops in the digital age, and not being an immigrant to the digital age from a business standpoint, because there's a lot of companies that have been going for 20 years and they're struggling to get into the marketing aspect of the digital age and social media. But having started in there, it's probably easy for you guys to, this is foundational to your company because this is how you started. A lot of companies probably struggle with that.
Yeah, I know they do, right? I mean, I talk to companies all the time. Like, Tyler, how do I do like what you do on LinkedIn? Or how do you guys do this? Or I see your ads everywhere. I was on my Pandora app and I saw your ad there. Like, how are you guys doing all these things? And it's not overly complicated, but it's one of those things that you really got to dig into, and you got to understand at a basic level, and you have your KPIs and all these things. But I can tell everyone listening to this, I still, like, every month, I still get a detailed report of every analytic on all of our paid stuff that we do online. And we constantly tweak it every single month, and we take new things on and put new things out and do all these things. But that's what's great about online marketing is you can go try something. Like literally this morning, we're like, hey, let's go try this thing this week. And if it works, we scale. If it doesn't, we try something else.
That's right.
It's a great thing to have. But the social media side, it comes down to consistency. People are always like, how do you get a lot of traction on social media? You post consistently and you provide value. Just do those two things and you'll get traffic on social media. That's really it comes down to. There's no algorithm hacks or any growth hacks. It's just pure hard work and listening to your audience.
It really is that easy, but of course, easier said than done. It takes work, right? It's not something that just happens overnight. You do have to work at it, but you're right. Consistency and value. If you provide value and you do it consistently, your audience will definitely grow. You become known for what you're going after. You'll be able to build that brand, and that's really, really important. I love that. I'm on with Tyler Robertson of Diesel Laptops. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and comment. Love to hear from you guys as well. So Tyler, talk a little bit about your journey. We jumped right in today, which was fun because we just left so much to talk about. Tell everybody a little bit about your journey to Diesel Laptops. How did you get here? Where did you start, and what was the kind of the impetus for, like, I got to start this?
Yeah, I was working for somebody else, and I really just wanted beer money. So what the problem I had, or the problem that customers had, was they want to work on their own stuff, right? It comes down to, like, a lot of it's right to repair. They want access to diagnose and look at their own things and fix their own things without having to go to a dealership. Well, I worked at a dealership and we told people you can't have these things. But as we started going on, I worked in a dealership. They gave me a little bit of flexibility to start selling some of that stuff. And, when you start doing that process, all of a sudden sales start booming and things start happening there. So I really started on eBay. It was where really my first outside customers were. I just put some products on there. I didn't own any of them. I just took a bunch of products that other people owned and bundled them up together, put them on eBay, and it sold. And eventually I scaled up, sold a lot on eBay. Then I started my own website and started selling stuff all over the place and people. So it was 7 years ago. It was me in my garage. We had no outside funding or capital. And I can tell people today we have over 200 employees. This year we'll probably do 70-ish, 75 million in revenue. It's been how the growth curve keeps going. And we bootstrapped it. We cash flowed it. So it's been a very fun journey through this whole process to keep growing a company like this. So it still blows me away. I look back in those days 7 years ago, seems like a lifetime ago already. But it's been a very, very fun journey. We've had a lot of great people come help us, to get to this point.
Yeah, and in the freight tech space in particular, like bootstrapping is almost unheard of. Talk a little bit about why you did that. I'm sure that was intentional. Talk a little bit about why you chose that route and some of the benefits that you're reaping that maybe those that don't go that route, maybe they never see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know anything about raising capital, right? So even if I wanted to, I would have been like Googling like how to raise capital or something, right? I've never been through that before. I didn't know anybody in that world. And when I first started this thing full time and quit my job, I'd been fiscally conservative. So me and my wife, we had no debt at that point. Our house was almost paid off. And then I choose to do this. I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. We had a bunch of money in savings. And I was like, well, I think we got some runway here. I had my side business kind of going for a little bit while I work for someone. Let's see how it goes. And truthfully, we were able to cash flow it all. And the negative with that is it really sucks because you run out of cash all the time. And like how you start bringing on employees, to get more expenses.
Right.
You get that constant pressure on you. But I can tell you, years now, sitting here in the position we're in, where we are very profitable, we have a ton of cash in the bank, and we still have no debt. All of a sudden, you're like, oh wow, now we can go do bigger and better things than we've ever been able to do inside our company ever before. So we're in a really good spot now. And now I have something that's very valuable that I own. I don't own it with 18 different people or however it is. And the big advantage of this is when you cash flow it and bootstrap it, you don't have to answer to anybody but yourself. When you go take money from someone, you got someone you have to go answer to now. And there has to be a plan there and things to go execute. And it's not just you on the hook anymore. It's these other people that are with you on this journey that you're going on. So I'm not saying it's bad to go raise capital, but it does put more risk and more pressure to do things versus our strategy of, hey, we're just going to go fast as we can cash flow and afford to go. And we'll take risks that we can afford to lose here because it's really not that big a deal. I don't have to go answer to a shareholder and explain why I blew 200 grand on something that didn't work out. I just can answer to myself at the end of the day. And for me, it's never been about making money. That was never the goal of this. The goal of this has just been, at first was just to provide for my family. Now the goal is let's go change an industry. So it's really changed a lot as we've gone on. But today I'm really glad the path we went on. I maybe taking money would have got us here quicker. I don't know, or a different path, but I like where we're at today. So I can't complain about it too much.
Yeah, I think the argument primarily for, venture capital or raising money is speed, right? They want to get there faster, but there's those risks that are involved and the pressure to actually pull it off and go faster. And I definitely understand that. But I mean, I think that for me, freedom is such a word that I want to hold on to for the rest of my life is freedom. And there's no more freedom than answering to yourself only. And nobody else. And I mean, obviously the onus is on you. If it goes bad, it's on you, but also the victory and the success, you get to enjoy that a little bit more with your team, of course. I'm sure, just being generous to your team and obviously they're doing a lot of great work is a part of it, but you don't have to answer to other people on decisions you make and you get to the benefits and rewards. You may just lose out on a little bit of the speed, but I mean, think about it. You've gone from 0 to or 1 to 200 employees in a little less than 7 years. That's nothing to bat an eye at.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point. Like with inflation the way it is today, we do our annual raises every year in April. So we had to sit here and be like, okay, what are we going to do? And, used to be like, well, I'll give 1 to 5% raises. This year, it's like, well, we got to give 2 to 10% raises because of inflation and we want to keep and retain employees. Right. And those are big decisions. And you look at it, you're like, well, that's a, $800,000 impact on our bottom line. Just give this one week that we're going to do this, but it's the right thing to do. And again, we don't get too concerned about the EBITDA and all that stuff happening down at the bottom of the income statement. It's more about the balance sheet and make sure we keep growing and keep executing on the strategic plan that we have as a company. And I think our team's completely doing that.
Yeah, and think about that, an $800,000 hit to the bottom line for retention, but think about what it's going to do from a cultural perspective, what it's going to do from a retention perspective. If you don't lose that many employees, you don't have to recruit and replace and train. Plus, I think the culture is worth it because if you have people who, man, like Tyler cares about me, this company cares about me, they're going to make sure I'm taken care of, I'm doing great work. That just, the culture alone, the identity of your company has to be like worth all that expenditure, right?
So I've worked in other companies and I've been inside plenty of organizations where I've worked with them. And, you always run across these departments or companies that really execute on a high level. And then you have these other departments and companies that don't so much. They're always struggling. They can't get out of the chaos and those things. And The common denominator I've always seen is the ones that are executing well. Everyone's been there for a long time. They all know what to do. They all work together well. They understand the mission. And all the ones that don't are the exact opposite. They got high turnover. Things aren't working right. No one knows what they're doing. I've always been like, man, you got to have employees that are there for a long time. If you really want to keep executing and growing the thing, you got to pay them right. You got to take care of them, make it a great place, give them a career path. If you can do those things, you'll get the right talents.
Yeah, I talked about that recently. I had the chance to be on the stage for the final session at TIA with Chris Jolly and Brent Orsuga, and we talked about how you treat your people. Like how do you take care of them? And I've been thinking about this a lot, Tyler. You know, as you mentioned, referenced earlier, you're either working for somebody else or you're working for yourself. And a lot of times they'll say, for example, you're either building someone else's dream or you're building your own dream. And the thought that's really occurred to me recently is, as a business owner, I don't like that phrase. Like I don't want this just to be about me building my dream. Like my job as an owner is to help people in my company build their dream today. It means I got to know what their dream is. And two, I got to try to help them get there. And sometimes those dreams can be built inside of a company. Maybe somebody just wants to own horses and they just need, you know, the money and the time to do it. Sometimes people want to go and build their own thing like you, like they're creative, right? And that's okay too. Like, how can I help people get where they want to go in life? Because I keep falling back on that Zig Ziglar quote that says, you can have everything you want in life if you help enough people get what they want in life. And that's where I think about as an owner, like, how can I help them get what they want, whatever that is? And then I'm going to be taken care of. If I do that, I just believe I'm going to be taken care of. It sounds like you have a similar philosophy.
It is. And it's really inspiring me to see what some of my employees are doing now, right? So I know there's a gentleman, he was struggling, not making more than minimum wage, way behind in retirement. And now the guy's killing it. And he just bought a lake house up on a Great Lake up north. Another guy, again, kind of somewhat getting by and doing okay. And all of a sudden he's 10Xing what he was doing before. I got employees. I mean, my director of operations, he was working at a sandwich shop before, right? And now he's a director of operations. And
did you hire him out of a sandwich shop?
Yeah, I heard him out of a sandwich shop.
Oh my gosh, that's got to be a great story. Like, how did that even? Just
quick, it was like employee number one. Really, like I needed help just boxing stuff up in my garage. My wife went to a book club in our neighborhood. And one of the moms, she was explaining my problem. And one of the moms like, well, my little Riley needs a job. He's just kind of doing this thing else, I'm like, yeah, come on over. And, now lo and behold, he's our director of operations. I mean, I keep telling people, he had none of the criteria, none of the, aspirations at the time, but he came in here. He's a great employee. Again, director of operations, people report to him. The guy's going to be a millionaire before he's 30. Like, he's just a smart kid. He knows what he's doing. He's doing all the right things in life, and he's trying to get better at life. And there's stories like that all around here where people have been fired from other companies, people that just didn't have the opportunity or the chance to do something. And we're trying to give them that chance, that opportunity. And people really surprise you when you put some opportunity in front of them on what they can do.
Yeah, and I think that it's all about getting people in the right seat, but also getting them the right bus. It's the good to great analogy that Jim Collins has, right? You got to get the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off, but then you got to get them in the right seat. And if you do, they'll really thrive. I mean, if somebody wants to drive, they're going to be bored sitting in the back if there's a driver's seat open, right? If there's no driver's seat open, they need to go find a driver's seat, right, and drive. And when you get them in that spot, they're going to thrive like this young man that you talked about. I just love their attitude, how hard they work. Whether they're a server or in a sandwich shop. What a great story. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of opportunity out there for people. So like, we're in South Carolina and we're trying to hire software developers. You can imagine Columbia, South Carolina is not the hotbed for software developers, right? So there's a program here in the state where they go find people that are working retail, food, $15 an hour jobs. And they say, hey, look, we'll put you through a 6-month boot camp, we'll pay for the whole school, and we'll guarantee you 40 grand a year, 45 grand a year, 50 grand a year after 6 months. And we'll take those people all day long. We got a couple of them here. They're doing great. And by the way, they go from 40 or 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 really quick in that profession. So there's opportunity out there for people. They seem to kind of know where to look and try to find those things. But 11 million open jobs in the US right now. People are looking for talent wherever they can find it.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you approach that as a CEO, as a company that's growing? I mean, imagine you're probably going to add maybe 10% of your workforce in the next year or so, something like that. Like, what do you do to combat the situation where talent's really hard to find right now? Or is that an issue for you? Have you guys had success in finding the talent where you're looking?
Yeah, we want to be plus 50 this year. So we got to plan to get there. So wrenches get thrown in your way all the time. Part of that is we do a lot of internal recruiting. So we have internal recruiters. That's their full-time job. Just finding people. And we put them through strong cultural interviews and ask them, try to get the questions to weed out the people we don't want here. So we've had to reject a couple that were great on paper, HR gets done with them and they're like, absolutely not. This person will destroy the culture we got going on. So you have to deal with that side of the coin as well. It's been really rare. We've had to go outside that to go find talent and find people. And a lot of it, we had to redo our strategy. So when like sales, we used to say, hey, we want experienced salespeople. Well, we're not going to find experienced salespeople at the scale we need that know truck diagnostics and repair. That's just not going to happen.
Right.
So let's go hire 10 inexperienced salespeople, put them through a month-long boot camp, teach them about our industry and the products we sell. And then let's get them into our inbound sales team, but let's give them a career path to start here, but go here if they put in the time and work and effort to get there. So I can tell you, we always look at two types of employment terminations, regrettable and unregrettable. The regrettable ones are the ones we don't want to lose. And every time I look at that list, it's usually the same thing. We did not have a clear path for them, or there was a cultural problem we had going on in that department that we didn't resolve. So for us, it's trying to keep that retention number high as possible for us, which is difficult in today's environment.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you have an intentional, like you said, with these sales teams or sales guys that you bring in, you have an intentional training platform to really help them get onboarded well and be successful. I would imagine that your retention on sales guys is probably higher than the average team, because a lot of times they just throw you in there, sit next to somebody, try to learn about osmosis, and not really take the time to train them and onboard them. What has that retention been like for these, inexperienced sales guys you bring in?
Yeah, so I don't have the exact numbers, but it's exactly what you said. That's what we used to do. Like, come on in, sit next to me, listen to some phone calls, go sell some stuff. And it was chaos, right? They weren't great at it. They didn't know the products, they didn't know the market, they didn't know the culture, the systems we use. So now it's much different. It is 30 days literally in a classroom where we have a full-time educator that teaches them Diesel Laptop University, where we teach them about our company and product and culture. And then they go sit with people for a while. And then we slowly get them into this whole thing. So I don't know the exact metrics. I know it's a lot better now. I can tell you 2 years ago, it was nonstop turnover in the sales department. And we switched to this model. It is much, much better. People believe in the company and they understand the products. They understand how to answer questions. And they start to see that career path in front of them. And I think that's the most important thing is anyone that's working a job, they want to enjoy their job. They want to be there, but they also want to know where they can get to. A lot of people don't want to be stuck in the same job for the rest of their lives. And I totally get it. And we're going to do our best to put those paths in front of people.
Yeah, I was just speaking with Cameron Robertson from 3PL Systems. I don't know if you know Cameron or not, but he was on the show last week, and he was talking about how he had somebody who he hired for one position, and then they came back and said, I really want to do this. And he could have done one or two things at that point, or I guess three things. He could have said, no, you're just going to stay here. Or he could have said, you got to go somewhere else to do that. Or what he did was he said, okay, what does that look like? And what do you need to get there? And he helped them get there. He opened up that position in his company, and now that guy's thriving, doing really, really well. So I think it's critical, he said, to know where people want to go, make sure they have an idea or at least a path or a vision, and work towards that. I think that just goes into retention. People will stay with a good leader and a good opportunity if they know that there's a place to go. People don't leave companies, they leave people.
Yeah, I mean, we had a guy that he was working in our warehouse. And then we had him work. We said, hey, we need help doing some data entry stuff. So he did that. And then we said, hey, we need help building out a complete library of wiring diagrams for every truck ever built. So he staffed up 30 people underneath him and built wiring diagrams. And now he's our data mining Power BI expert inside the company. So, but it's people like that would never have the resume on paper, but they get the smarts, They got the ambition. They're just thirsting for the knowledge and opportunity to do it. And that's the hard part to uncover in your organization is people don't fit on paper, but you give them an opportunity and they just kind of run with it.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, we're almost done here. I want to ask one question. What's your biggest concern if you had 50 people, 25% of your workforce? What's your biggest concern to keep things going in a positive direction?
Yeah, still moving fast, right? So I've noticed as we've gotten bigger, now I got multiple departments and managers and meetings and all these things. It was so easy when it was myself, right? Like, hey, let's just go do this thing and it's done, right? So that's the big one. It's just still the speed. We still got to go really fast. We're in the technology space. It's changing so quick. And we have to keep innovating. And if we don't keep doing those things, we're going to be in trouble. And I've already seen that happen with some of our competitors. They've done the same thing for the last 10 years and they plateaued. And I don't want to be that guy. So we're going to keep moving fast.
No, I totally understand. Well, listen, this half hour, I told you it was going to go really fast. We're already up. I hope you'll come back and spend some more time with us because I'd love just to pick your brain a little bit more about leadership and culture and what you're doing over there. Would you be open to coming back?
I'm always available. So thank you again for having me on the show.
Oh, man, it's awesome to have you, Tyler. And everybody who's watching, make sure you come back tomorrow. We're going to hear from Brett Suma and David Stem from Loadsmith, my first threesome, everybody, on the show. So it's a big day. And for everybody else out there, make sure you come back every day at 10:30 for Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership powered by Beta Consulting Group. Thanks to our sponsor, TAFS. And Tyler, again, thanks so much for being on the show. We'll talk to you guys real soon. We'll see you.